Hello and welcome to this episode of Community Connections, airing right here on OROMIA11. I am your host, Anna Orr, and today we are talking to the founder and CEO of The Right Reach, Cherie Gill. We are talking about foster care, we are talking about the needs of youth across this country, but specifically in the state of Minnesota. We're talking about the resiliency of youth and how to help them further their social capital. This is going to be an episode you won't want to miss. Stay tuned. Cherie Gill, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Now, you are here talking about The Right Reach. You are the founder of this social enterprise. For people that have no clue what The Right Reach is, can you talk to us about the work?
Yeah, so The Right Reach LLC is all about tapping into social connections. And so it is really business to business. And so I support service providers and stakeholders who are in the foster care system, better equip them with tools and resources to really partner with young people as the young people take charge of their futures as they age out of foster care.
Now, for people that are unfamiliar with the numbers that we're looking at, currently in the state of Minnesota, there are 7,700 in foster care in any given day. And then as far as the last day of the fiscal year, according to the Foster Care and Adoption Association of America, it is 343,000 children are in foster care across the country.
It's alarming. I do believe the numbers are going down as they are, I would say, cities and counties at large are thinking about, reunification differently than in the past. But for me, my focus is on that young youth, young adult transition age, that 17 and a half to 21. Specifically because young people, there's about 800 that are aging out within Minnesota and the metro every year. And half of them will find gainful employment by the age of 24, right? And so for me and in my profession, in my own lived experience, it wasn't until I had that job, right, that career pathway where I felt empowered, a part of a bigger system and belonging. And so I think it's important to really focus on that age because they're probably the most predictable and preventable population that we can support, knowing that, within 3 years of aging out, but out of the 800 that age out, every year, about a third of them will become homeless, incarcerated, or experience another crisis within 3 years of aging out.
Now, for people that are unfamiliar with the term aging out, can you talk just a little bit about what that is? I think I have a clue, but I'm sure there's somebody listening to this that's going, what's happening?
Yeah, and so as a child, right, under the age of 18, they have guardianship, right? The state or the United States is seen as their caregiver. And about 17 and a half, there's a process that they need to kind of partake in order to receive extended care. And so it may be not traditional, but supporting them in kind of adulting and transitioning. And so there's 6 months between their 17th and a half birthday and 18 where they can apply to go into extended care. But what happens is there's a lack of understanding of this process, right? The information to do that. And what happens is young people just kind of fall off that cliff at 18. There is no more support. Nobody is kind of tracking them at that point. And a lot of people, I would say, are probably opting out versus opting in to the extended foster care, which will support them with some financial backing until the age of 21.
Okay.
Right?
I think that's really important, but also a little scary to really consider. When you think about where you were mentally and emotionally, financially, at 17.
Or at 21, right? When our health insurance or our our age limits to calling a person young is to 24, but here in the state of Minnesota, you are completely done and aged out by the age of 21. And so even for me, in my experience, right, I became a ward of the state at the age of 14. That just meant my mother lost her parental rights, but my father was deceased, and so I became a ward of the state. And I was given a waiver for college, right, into the age of 21 or until up until the graduation. And so it was at that point where I realized there is a lot more need for support even past 21. As I know, a lot of folks even still living at home until the age of 25, out of college, right? So saying that at 21 I'm going to have it all together is just not fair.
It's so unrealistic. Now, the work of the Right Reach LLC, you all are doing consulting as well as empowering youth by embracing their resiliency and fostering social ties. How are you all doing some of that?
Yeah, so for the Right Reach, we are really providing the young people with the tools to understand, and the language, I would say, to understand what a circle of support would look like, right? And so you know, the Right Reach is about social capital. Social capital is your net worth, right? And it's that whole notion of it's not what you know, but who you know. I know that I am where I am because of the people and the places where I felt belonging, that cared for me, that looked out for me. And so helping young people understand, because, you know, there is about 6 county or state workers assigned to every one foster. Right?
6 to 8 county workers are assigned
to one youth in foster care.
Wow.
Right? All supposedly playing different roles. And so my work is to help empower the young people to take ownership in that, right? How do I work with the folks in my life to help me get to what I need and want faster, right? That's social capital. And I hope that through that, right, they're empowered to then lean into the service providers who then lean into their social capital to potentially support that young person in wherever they're at in that transition. And doing that through multiple ways, right? One-on-one professional training, short-term case care, but it's also on the back end of creating relationships that funnel, you know, stronger connections to workforce or community engagement with, you know, community-based orgs or government agencies like group homes or employers. I have this thing where I'm talking about how do I create foster-friendly employers, right? Those that can recognize some of the barriers that those young people are experiencing, but also see their resiliency and some of those transferable skills that they bring to the table to really launch them into whatever career path they deem necessary. So
I think that's so important when you think about all of the people that have come alongside you at different points in your life.
Absolutely.
Whether that's through sports, school, community, having neighbors, going to a regular gas station or corner store where you start to see somebody regularly and build that familiarity. There are so many people along the way that help you get to where you are. And if you've had to move around a lot, if you've had a lot of isolation, if you don't have a family connection, you start to really lose out on a lot of social capital with people.
Absolutely.
Because you have, like you said, there's no training,
Yeah.
there's nobody kind of mentoring you or even coming alongside you, checking in on you. But you're now seen as an adult legally, and you don't have skills that you need, or you don't even know where to begin. At 17 and a half, I don't think I would have the wherewithal, or 21 if we're being honest, I don't think I would have the wherewithal to be able to find the social service building or the office like you talked about to file for this 6 month extension to make sure I'm still being taken care of. If I've had no frame of reference or premise to do this prior to now.
Absolutely.
Now we are talking about the foster care system, and for someone who's never been a part of it or someone that's never had someone in their family navigate the foster care system, there's still so much that is unknown to us. How are you guys at the Right Reach helping people kind of pull back the curtain on what's going on? Because I think this is a situation like anything else that affects our community, and we should have more knowledge about what's going on and how we can support.
Yeah, I don't think it's a misunderstanding. I think it's a lack of understanding altogether.
Okay.
Right, of how the system is set up, and I think right now, I think a lot of people would agree that it's failing. And not understanding is leaning to apprehension of folks leaning in to figure out how they may be able to support the young people or folks experiencing foster care. And so with the Right Reach, we are just kind of opening those doors and providing the avenue, right, for folks to plug in. Whether you want to be a mentor, or you want to provide your funds, or you want to provide a meal, right? Whatever avenue feels comfortable, we're allowing that and creating those spaces for folks to kind of tap in as they wish and where they're comfortable. But from there, hoping to, build those advocates and those who are willing to stand with us and fight for, some transferable change for the system as it is now.
Now, you all at the Right Reach are developing products and organizing workshop sessions to assist youth in building a network of personal and professional relationships and boost self-worth through a deliberate network of support. I like hearing that, a deliberate network of support. What does that mean to you specifically as somebody that has navigated both sides of this space?
Absolutely. So, it's really about not the quantity, but the quality, right? We talk about building your network and going out and meeting people. But with the Right Reach, we're really focused on what are those key critical positions or relationships that you need at any given time to transition. And so my background within youth development has allowed me to kind of see what is kind of best seen or need for young people at those pivotal transition ages. And so we've created a conversation tool, a card deck called Squad, that is really about what are those key relationships needed to helping you get to where you need to and want to faster. And so it's not about one person playing it all, which can be that absolutely, but what are the kind of key maybe 3 to 4 people that you need in your life. And so some of those folks are going to walk behind you, some of those people are going to walk beside you, and some of those folks are going to walk in front of you. And so giving them the language and understanding to be able to now understand how folks are showing up in their life, but also how might you create those relationships and build those relationships intentionally, right? And it's not about having all of one thing, right? But what is your network or social capital and diversity within income and race and age, right? All that can be pivotal in you helping kind of discover what your pathway might be going forward. And so I'm really happy with the work we're doing with the Squad Deck and this tool to really help young people, one, own that in creating that, but also giving practitioners, parents, and teachers the language as well around supporting young people and building those networks.
Now, you brought the Squad Deck with you today.
I did.
I was going to say, so that people can start to be on the lookout. What led to you cultivating this? Because I think it's very important. And when you just talked about all the different people that we probably are in relationship with and don't know how to have hard conversations or to ask for support, I think this is a really good way to start the conversation.
Absolutely.
And if you've already had it, to continue the conversation, because you're going to consistently, as you adult,
Yes.
you're going to have to consistently assess your relationships,
Mm-hmm.
figure out ways to ask for what you want and what you need.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like this is a way that kind of makes it second nature. But where did the vision of the squad deck come from for you?
Yeah, for me, it was really leaning into my personal and professional experiences, and really sitting back and taking a note of what has supported, what has got me to where I am. And it always came back to the people and places that I felt like a belonging to. And so it is inspired by a fosters, right,
Mm-hmm.
with a deficit of relationships, but I think it is applicable to all, right, regardless of where you're at in your transition, whether or not you're experiencing the system or not. We know that 70% of people get their promotions or their dream job by the person they knew,
Mm-hmm.
and who referred them. And so this is really trying to get to that quality of people that we want to have in that circle of support to help us get there. And so there's pieces of, how do I show up for myself and what that looks like, but also how would I want somebody else? So asking the question. And so I can ask you, who's your advocate? Who's your mentor?
Mm-hmm.
And as adult, as a professional, you might be able to really spit those names out. But for young people who have never, they're talking about a case manager and
Mm-hmm.
a social worker, they may not be thinking along those lines or even know how to describe that. So I may say, who are you going to call when you want to celebrate good news, right? Who's going to go to bat for you if you were in trouble right now?
Yeah.
Right? And so it's really kind of, culturally, I think, responsive and to how young people understand, but really breaking it down. And then furthermore, looking within, but also looking out, right? I have these folks in my corner, but asking the question, okay, who would I want? Or what does this person look like if I wanted a mentor? And so the squad deck it's pretty remarkable how we've been able to kind of put all of that in this little box. And shout out to Minneapolis College of Art and Design,
Mm-hmm.
who took me on pro bono to help design some of this work.
I think that's beautiful. Now, where can people get the squad deck? Because I know somebody is going to watch this and go, I need this, or I need to have this in my classroom. I need this at my private practice.
Mm-hmm.
I need this at the rec center up the street from my house, because
Absolutely.
we need kids, and we need you to start thinking about all of the people that are on their team.
Absolutely. Well, you can find me on social media. You can check me out at our website, therightreach.com, or shoot me a text. I like to get personal with my clients and folks who are doing this work, and so wanting to stay connected as part of my hope to influence change within this ecosystem. Is like we drop the silos, and so not making it hard to connect and work together. And so please reach out on any of those channels.
Now, you have talked about partnering with some civic leaders and some other existing organizations. For someone that is watching this and says they are interested in partnering with the Right Reach, or they would like to have you come in and do a session or something of that nature, would you be open to that? And if so, how do they circle back specifically to you to talk about that potential opportunity? Because I think you are a wealth of information, and people really need to start thinking long term about what this conversation looks like.
Absolutely. Well, I would again reach out on all channels. I want to throw my phone number out there for folks.
No, but we definitely
But
will
you got
insert
it.
the website. We definitely
Insert
will
the
put
website. But I am, lead by example. So I think it starts with the leaders at any organization or movement to really, make the effort to lean back into the community. I pride myself on having the lived experience, but also the professional. And so wanting to connect with those who want to make real change, who have the influence, right, to spread more understanding, and who can advocate for laws and legislation changing around this work. So please reach out.
Now, you are often in the community amongst the people. What has been the community's response to the work of the Right Reach? What have they been sharing with you?
Yeah, I mean, folks get big eye, right? Want to give me lots of hugs and love. I think initially just off that narrative, right, that foster care is so hard. And so people are really grateful for the work that I'm doing, but also curious to always, anytime I post about stories or the work that I'm doing, people are eager to lean in and try to figure out how they can make their mark and help make some change or support a young person. And so I encourage that, whether or not you're connected to me, I encourage viewers and those out there in the community to really look back at yourself. And who are you supporting that may not be an actual extension of your family or your blood, but how are you pouring back into someone? With this work, I really truly believe in bringing the village back. It takes a village to raise a child, and so I'm hoping to just continue to build that village.
Now, what keeps you connected to this work? Because I think anybody that has experienced any type of hardship has to make a decision to utilize it as something good or to use it as something that has wounded them for their whole life and kind of run the opposite direction from the very thing that has maybe caused that.
Yes.
But you've literally turned and run towards it and dared to bring people behind you with you.
That's so true. And for me, and I would say probably a lot of fosters, it is a lifelong journey of healing. And I find more healing in being able to share in spaces like this with you, in my community. More healing comes to me in my own traumas, right? And so I do it because it's that if you know better, you do better. And unfortunately, because the system is failing, I don't have the privilege to sit back, right, and be sunken in all the challenges and trauma that it brings, but use that as fuel to go out and do more, create more partnerships and collaboration. It's my purpose. I feel like it is my calling. That I am in a space because not too many of us can see the other side of it through their traumas. So,
what is next for the Right Reach, and what do we need to be on the lookout for?
Well, we are now supporting property management, and so that transitional housing or permanent housing for young people who may be aging out of foster care. Or in other systems. Typically, young people experiencing foster care, as I mentioned that statistic earlier, they end up incarcerated, are involved in more systems. And so, leaning into justice impacted, right? Folks who may be reentry is part of it, the housing piece, right? We know a lot of the young people who are experiencing homelessness right now are coming directly out of the foster care system. And then, so really tying and being intentional about what the needs are for the young people we're serving through foster care, but who also may be attached to those other systems. And so building those partnerships across systems so that we can best serve. Because I do think we have to get to a customizable plan. It's not one size fit all, and really lean into and hearing what the young people need.
Unfortunately, that is all the time that we have for this episode. Cherie Gill, it has been a pleasure, and I am excited to see what takes place from the work of the Right Reach and start to see some of the people that have been a part of this, turning up in organizations across this country as well as this state to improve the lives of youth that are coming behind them, that may be aging out or that may be just trying to navigate adulting.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me, and look out for the squad deck.
Please look out for the squad deck. Make sure that you all reach out to Cherie Gill and the team at therightreach.com. If you are interested in having any of her services, a session, whether you're interested in her coming out and talking about the squad deck, or if you want to start continuing, if you want to further the conversation around youth and foster care and what this whole process looks like, there is nobody better to talk to than Cherie Gill. Unfortunately, that is all the time that we have for this episode of Community Connections. As always, I am your host, Anna Orr. This has been airing on OROMIA11. I look forward to connecting again with you soon.